This episode of the Game Over Greggy Show is brought to you by Movement Watches. Movement Watches was founded on the belief that style shouldn't break the bank. The watchmaker's goal is to change the way consumers think about fashion by offering high-quality, minimalist products at revolutionary prices. With over 500,000 watches sold to customers in more than 160 countries around the world, Movement Watches has solidified itself as the world's fastest-growing watch company. Movement Watches start at just $95. Now, at a department store, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at $400 to $500. Movement figured out that by selling online, they were able to cut out the middleman and the retail markup, providing the best possible price. Classic design, quality construction, and stylized minimalism. Over 500,000 watches sold in more than 160 countries. Did I say that? I did. Right now, you can get 15% off with free shipping and free returns by going to movementwatches.com/Greggy. That's MVMTwatches.com/Greggy. This watch is cool. You've seen me talk about it before. Black face, red hands, black band. I look awesome. So it's time to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Step up your watch game. Go to movementwatches.com/Greggy. MVMT. Join the movement. Colin, it's my topic. My topic's La La Land. I have seen La La Land. You boys have seen La La Land.
Yes.
Kevin, has you seen La La Land? I'm taking a shot in the dark there. All right, cool. We're going to talk about La La Land now. If you haven't seen La La Land, turn off the podcast or come back later. Nicholas.
Yes.
You were very adamant that we need to do this topic.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I think this is a special movie.
This movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah. I think this was a movie that that really took me by surprise. I saw the preview for it, and from the very...
You mean like the trailer?
Yeah, the trailer for it, rather. And from the second that Emma Stone walks into the bar,
Yeah.
and he just immediately walks up and kisses her,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, this is going to be something different and something unusual and something cool. And I was hoping very much that I would like it, and sure as shit, when I went and saw it, it got me. I'm like, this is a modern day musical. Musicals, for the most part, don't really exist anymore unless there's something huge happening on Broadway or someone decides to revive an older, already established musical. But this is an original musical that has been made into a movie. This, by all accounts, shouldn't have happened, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's just not really a system that we have in our modern day society where it's acceptable to just be like, musical? Yeah, let's go see a musical, right? No. Can you name the last musical you saw that wasn't a Disney film?
I think that this movie came out at the perfect time. I think
perfect.
that we've been primed for this for so many years. Like
Definitely.
my generation, with things like High School Musical and with all the Disney animated musicals.
Not to mention Hamilton's doing well. Book of Mormon, there was stuff like that.
Yeah.
And South Park, that was a musical.
That was '98 though.
I know. I'm just.
No, exactly.
But I'm laying the groundwork for why. Yeah.
And I feel with the rise, like we recently had a talk about musicals of Hairspray and Peter Pan and
the musical Lives, live musical,
like that, I think that we're at a perfect place for this movie to come out, and it was magical. It was such a good movie experience, and like I don't even judge it as it was a good musical. I think it was a fantastic movie. Like,
yeah,
I don't think it even needs the genre attached to it.
Well, for me, the most surprising thing is that when I remember seeing the trailer as well and being like, that looks fucking awesome. Not realizing it was a musical, but it was when they started like floating into the air and like the planetarium, I guess, or whatever. And just like what you're talking about, that running up and kissing. Not to mention that, I've talked in previous things about like, I like The Rock and I like Kevin Hart, so they're in a picture. Sure, I'll go see it. I like Emma Stone and I like Ryan Gosling a lot. So like to have them back together in a movie is like, oh yeah, fuck, that looks great. But the fact that the trailer was so good and then the movie was even better is what I think is most amazing about this. And the fact that usually it's the opposite. Oh man, great trailer. I see the movie. I'm like, all right, well, that's Suicide Squad.
Oh God, no! I mean, you're right though. When I first saw the trailer, I was like, I'm seeing this movie. Like, you guys won me over. You did your job with this. This looks epic. This looks amazing, and it was. It paid off in every single way. And what I enjoyed the most about it was, once it ended, I had experienced so many different emotions throughout it, and I feel like all of them were earned. And I liked that even at the end of it, there was things that I'm like, oh man, why didn't they do this? Or this could have happened differently or whatever. But it's like, it felt good. It didn't feel like, oh man, they fucked that up. It felt like
they told a story.
They told a story and they made good choices. And I really like, and I'm assuming we're spoiling this to an extent.
The non-spoiler. No, we should go all in. I think people have seen it, right? Like non-spoilers, the movie's great. Go see it. Come back and watch the rest of this video.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to go
spoiler. My movie of
spoiler.
2016. My favorite movie by far of 2016. It was so good. and I could not recommend it more. I've been listening to the soundtrack every day.
That's the same. Yeah, me
it came
too.
out.
When if I'm listening, if I'm working at the computer, or if I'm, like in the morning when I put stuff on my Bluetooth speaker in the bathroom, I've been listening to it too. City of Stars.
So good. It's just so damn good. But I love what I was saying is the end of it. I think they did a really, really interesting thing that is open to interpretation when they kind of, you see what happens, then it's the more like, this is what could have been. I like that they did it on the actual soundstage that we saw earlier in the movie.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
they recreated the movie as if it was an old school musical.
Yeah.
And I like that that's open to interpretation, not only of, is this supposed to represent what could have happened, or is this supposed to represent what did happen in a just different alternate timeline, or is this supposed to represent what would have happened if this was a musical that was made in the 50s? Because I like the whole style that they did of like recreating all the different things practically, even though earlier we saw like the planetarium scene or whatever, or the traffic thing was all, huge.
Yeah.
When they redid it as what an actual stage musical would be, I liked that it felt more like that would have been the typical story that was told, and it was cool.
What did you take away from the ending? Because Nick, we haven't talked about it. You talked about it. You took away something completely different than what I did.
Go ahead.
Well, for me, I took away what I just said. I took away the extra thing was just more of like a step back meta thing of this is what the musical version would have been of this. But
for me,
what they showed is that's what happened.
Oh, sure.
They did
Yeah.
split up
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The movie, they split up. For me, when I watched it all happen for me, it was happening in her head. This was her vision of like, fuck, what if he had gone with me to Paris? What if, we had been together and it was this perfect love story and we walked down here and then, the timelines meet. But then you were saying it was him, right? You told me that you took it from Gosling's perspective.
I think originally I did, yeah, because I think that they kind of, the way the cinematography lends itself in that scene, if I remember correctly, kind of pushes you toward that. But I don't think I necessarily defined it when I was watching. I just thought this was their sort of, they saw each other, they walked in, and this was sort of what their shared experience was when they were thinking about what their lives could have been. And I think that they both kind of came to that conclusion at the end, that although it would have been good, it still would have been missing something. And I think that no matter what, he wouldn't have gotten his club, and so he would have been not whole, right? And I think you see that in that look when she walks out and she looks back at him, and he looks at her and he smiles and she smiles back at him. Like there's that just acknowledgement that, hey, everything kind of turned out the way it was supposed to. I think.
Kevin, what did you turn on your mic? What did you say? Because it was another one where I was talking to you about it, and you think he's unhappy at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So I kind of saw it more towards Nick, like the way Nick originally saw it, where that was him playing out what would have happened if he hadn't gone and had gone with her essentially.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have gotten his dream. But before that happens and we see him running around
The club,
but even before that, his house, he just seems so, I don't know. There seemed to be a sadness in who his character was. It seemed like how he was in the beginning of the movie, where he was all by himself and he just didn't seem happy.
Wait, in the scene, the epilogue scene where it's the flash, the alternate universe or whatever the fuck it is, didn't he also get the club in that as well?
No, in that universe, he goes
to
a club and he realizes that someone else has his dream.
Got it. Okay.
So he looks up and sees someone else playing a piano in an amazing jazz club that's everything that he's wanted, and there's a moment on his face where you kind of get the feeling that and I don't remember her face because I was staring at him.
You love him.
But there's oh God, I love Ryan Gosling. God. But there's a moment where he just kind of looks, and there's a dazed look on his face where he's like, fuck, that's what that was my dream, and I don't get that. I sacrificed something to get that, and I think that's just kind of where they were.
Someone in the comments remind me, what was the name of the club?
Seb's.
In the dream, though.
Oh, I don't remember.
That, because that's the thing to me that I could have sworn it was his as well. But whatever, that does totally change.
Yeah,
how
that's the thing. I'm gonna go see it again with Jen. So I want to. It's one of those it's one of those movies. It's similar. I talked about it last year at the end of it, all the movies I had seen, and how Room is the one that I stuck with, and I thought about it. I felt every day for a while afterwards, and I the same thing here. When granted, I'm listening to it, but I am still thinking about it in the same way.
Yeah, no, man, it's so good, and I think that what did I take from it from the end? Epilogue aside, I really appreciate the fact that it didn't, to me, feel like this is the only way it could have happened. And I think that the epilogue kind of shows that. moral of the story isn't you either choose love or your dreams. And it's not that you have to do this or that and you can't do both. It's that there's a lot of different options that can happen. And this is just one of the ways that this went. Because I feel like they were so perfect together and everything made so much sense. So the moment when she's like, I got to go to Paris. And he's like, I can't go to Paris. I was like, really?
Yeah, why can't you?
Like, why can't you? But it was just like, I really took that as that was just a decision made because he really felt at that moment after everything that happened in that movie, after he did totally change the course of his dream to get her. Like, I think that the use of City of Stars throughout the movie, how it keeps coming back in different ways, is really the thematic through line of the entire movie. And like when it turns to the scene of them in the apartment and they're singing together, and it's not perfect because they're both not trained singers and they kind of fuck up and just kind of laugh it off. And that was the take that they used. I love that because it was so representative of this isn't a perfect story. Nothing about this is perfect. It is what it is. And that's the point where City of Stars stops being about the dream and says, all we ever need's love. Like this is about love. And then later it turns back to being about dreams and it's not about love anymore. And I just think it's cool because it is an evolving thing where people grow with each other and they help each other become different people.
Yeah, I think that was perfect. That's well said. I think that was kind of what struck me too, was I think this is one of the best romance movies I've ever seen. In that it does what all really good romance movies do, in that it doesn't necessarily need a happy ending to be a good and enjoyable experience, right? It reminds me of all those relationships I've had in the past before I found my wife, that like you thought that it was never going to change, right? You were in that moment and everything was perfect, and then for some reason it just kind of took a different turn and dissolved. And that's just what happens to people. That's what happens. It's life. It's not even a matter of youth. I was going to say it's what happens to you when you're young, but it happens no matter what. Like sometimes you hold on to something really tightly and sometimes it just, you got to let it go. And I think that was so beautifully done in that. And I don't see it as an unhappy ending, by the way, because I think they both look to me like he looked like he loved that club and he was enjoying being that person. And like, they were always going to think about each other. They were always going to think about each other with a fondness of like what could have been. Yeah. But at the same time, when they see each other and there is that look at the end when they smile, they both realize that they were in that moment what they needed for each other. Yeah. To pass into that next part of their life, and then that's it.
Another thing that I really, really enjoyed about the movie is that it kept throwing curveballs, but not in a predictable way and not in a way where you expect them to constantly be switching things up and. So you're trying to get ahead of the movie, because that's something that movies do a lot, where I, as a creative type, like to watch these things and think, where's this going? What are they going to do? This movie, it beat me. Like I stopped thinking about that because I'm like, I trust them. Like they've won me over enough. Like when they introduced John Legend's character, it was intriguing. It's like, all right, this guy's obviously like the bad guy, but why? Because they set him up like, oh, he's a bad guy. They almost immediately switch that on you and you're just like, no, he's a good guy. It just represents this dream that Ryan Gosling doesn't have. Right. And it adds this whole new element to it, that it's no longer is it just love and dreams. The idea of success is also thrown in there, and success not being your dream. And it's like, all right, if you succeed at being successful, what's that worth compared to love and your dream, right? And it's like nothing, because he gets all this fame, he gets all the YouTube views and all the money and all the tours and stuff, but it's not what he wanted to do. And it's just like, I love the dichotomy of all that. And like, to me, the movie is such an emotional roller coaster, and it got so real. Yeah. And like, I love that every person I've talked to about it gleans something differently from it, whether it's from the relationship standpoint or the dream standpoint or the success standpoint. And watching it with Gia was really difficult, because when they started having the fight about there's the one line in particular at the apartment when he goes to visit her.
Yeah, when he makes dinner.
Yeah, when he makes dinner and he's just like, I'm only here for the night. I got to bounce out tomorrow morning. And it's like him doing something so nice. And the whole fight that they had of, I'm doing this all for you. And she's like, why? This isn't what I want. And him being like, well, fuck. This isn't what I want either. Why are we doing this? But the line of, so when does this stop? And he's like, well, I don't know. We're doing the album to make the tour, and then we're doing the tour to make the next album or whatever. I was just like Gia looked at me and I'm like, oh God, this is literally like things that we've had. It's like, well, I'm doing Kind of Funny Live, and then I'm editing it so that other people can see it, so we can go bigger next year. So, and I'm like, oh shit. But it's like, I love that though. I love how that builds, and that's what I take from it. But other people I talk to, they totally just take the romance side of it, or they totally just take the, what's right for me side of it. beautifully crafted movie.
Yeah, I like that scene too, and I love the fact that he's doing something that he is conflicted about. Right, he's doing something that he realizes is giving him success and can ultimately build toward that ultimate goal of his. But the reason why there's that animosity and the reason why there's that anger, and he has that line later that he says he doesn't really even mean, but he just says it where he's like, "Are you mad?" Something to the extent of like, "Are you mad at me because you can't stand to see me succeeding while you're just standing in one place?" And he's like, "You're an actor, for Christ's sake," like alluding to the fact that she hasn't made it yet, right? And he's starting to make it, but he doesn't really mean that. What he really means is like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't explain it, but you know, and it's tearing us apart basically. And a lot of people are like, well, he could have just gone to Paris with her, and I'm like, he could have gone to Paris with her, but I think that scene was pivotal for that because he talks specifically about like he's already done this other thing for her, and that's led him to a place that he doesn't want to be either. So I think like, stay the course and get your club, or go to the beyond with this woman and probably not do what you want to do in life. That was his crossroad. And I think it was perfectly set up.
Yeah.
And I just think all the more better, man. It was just, it's one of those that sticks with you. It makes you feel like it really made me feel like that first time I got my heart broken. You know what I mean? Where you're like, fuck, that's what that feels like. And I'll never get that back. Like, you'll never be able to go back and redo that. You just have to live with it and use it to be a different or better person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, my takeaway from it in terms of the relationship standpoint, right? Is I think early on in that, but I mean, definitely in that fight when they're having it, is the fact of, they're not meant to be together. You know what I mean? Like watching them argue and like, because it's a love and sex stuff episode, right? Of communication. Why are you? We never had this conversation of why he was joining up with this. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ! You kidding me? And that they are young and they are this, but it is the fact of just like, I mean, it speaks to me and my ex-wife, right? Of like, we loved each other and we got together and we got married thinking that, all right, cool, we can last through anything. Never thinking about the fact that I still had my dream of being a video game person and she had her dream of whatever that was going to end up being. You know what I mean? The fact that when we both started pulling towards it, pulled away from each other. The fact of, oh, right, we love each other and that's great, but this isn't meant forever if we have to go chase our own thing. And the fact that the next person I'm going to marry, right, has to be above all of that. And so for me, it was a very much like, oh, I've been into this relationship.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
It sucks that they're going to break up, but it's like totally, they'll be fine on the other side. And that's why when we see it all play out, I thought it was from her perspective and we got there. And then the look back was for me, all right, cool. We both did okay. Everything's fine. You know what I mean? See you later. This is a weird thing to see you here and coming to your club that you stole my fucking, you owe me for that goddamn logo.
Yeah. FYI, I'm waiting for my royalty check on that one.
Yeah, another scene that I really loved was when they went to go watch the movie and then the film broke and then they went to the location, the planetarium.
That was awesome.
There's so many just cool little nuances to it that they're like, man, you guys really thought about this.
Yeah.
The direction of it was fantastic. And I love so many varied musical styles that all kind of felt right. They all felt like they meshed together, but they were like just different enough that it never felt like it was the same thing over and over and over, even though the main theme, the Another Day of Sun, the like melody of that comes back like 5 different times in different songs, and it's cool. It's a great story.
Yeah. They just won a lot of Golden Globes. I'm sure they'll do well at the Oscars as well for this. But I think one of the things that the composer said that really stuck with me was he was like, this is a very unique project where everyone had to really work together to make this happen. And it, obviously evolved over the span of 6 years, I think, from when Damien Chazelle wrote it. But I mean, this is what you get when you have a lot of people really invested in something special. And like, that movie should not have been that good. Had no business being that good. But it just came together, and it's really well done. Surprisingly, Matt and his wife, who both do musical theater, did not like it.
Yeah.
And I suspect a lot of people. Yeah, I suspect a lot of people who actually have seen, like, are in theater might have a thing or two to say to that. But I agree with what you just said, because their biggest complaint was there was no through line. And I'm like, I don't know. I thought there was.
I think it was just a really honest, I'm not trying to put down musicals or anything, but I think that and plays in general, the through line's really obvious. And it's very in your face. Whereas this was a movie, and it was, I think, an honest depiction of a relationship. You know what I mean? Of the fact of like, well, this isn't necessarily gonna be cut and dry. It isn't going to be this thing. You know what I mean? The fact of like, when he gets the phone call and they're broken up, and he's like, she's not here, not anymore. And then she's like, audition. He's like, what? And then he drives all that way because he's like, it wasn't the ham-fisted Richard Gere in a limo, like, I'm here to whisk you away and make all your dreams come true. It's like, I know how much this means to you, and even if we're not together and we're not going to be together after this, clearly, like
I still love
this
you.
is still, I love you, and this is important to you, and I'm going to make, you need to know, and you need to do this, and I need to make you successful.
God, and that scene where they're sitting back up at the observatory, and they're just like, what now? And he's like,
So good.
I don't know. I'm like, no, just fucking tell you love her, you schmo.
But again, that would be like so antithetical to who they actually were, right? Because like for me, it was like not that I think I fucked it up in any of my past relationships this hard, but in terms of well, no, I'm more important than what I need to do right now for this other person, right? Was when he doesn't go to the one-woman show, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in my head, I'm like, if that's Jen, and Jen's doing whatever the fuck Jen needs to do, and that's her dream, and guy's like, hey, I need to take photos of you, I'd be like, no, sorry, John Legend, sorry, Tim, I gotta go. What are you talking about?
That is the one part of the movie that I just really couldn't buy. Is even like taking the photos of things and all that out of the way. It's just like there was certain moments where I'm like, you schedule around these things, and it's like I don't care how busy you are. It's like there's a few moments that are like, I gotta do this. You know? And it's like anything should be able to understand that. So it's like I don't know, but minor complaints.
Yeah,
sure,
absolutely,
for sure.
The audition scene though was so good at the end when she sang the song. My aunt used to live in Paris or whatever. It was just like that was just yet another shift in the movie where I'm like, damn, they took this up another notch. Like this is so fantastic, and it made one of the plot points of the movie that I didn't really like that much make sense, which was the one-woman show. The one person that needed to be there saw it and all that. So it was a little too convenient. But that audition made it all up for me, where I'm like, this is really going in a cool direction that I do think is believable. And when I was saying earlier about the end of the movie, how it doesn't really end perfectly and whatever. To me, what I thought was going to happen from the whole epilogue scene was that was the movie she ended up making. Was like the whole thing, because when she was doing the whole audition and they were pretty much like, yo, we liked your one-woman show. We want you to go to Paris and make a movie, like make a story. I was like, oh my God, this whole thing of her with a different family and whatever, that is the movie. And I thought they were going to cut to them watching it, but my mind always goes meta.
Interesting.
Always.
Yeah, no, I knew the second that they showed the kid. The second that she had a kid, I was like, she's not getting back together with her.
I knew as soon as they showed her hot ass husband, that guy from Dead Man on Campus.
Oh,
I was like, yeah,
love that guy. I was like, he's not going anywhere. I don't know.
It was another one that I was telling Kevin though too. This is one of those things that I feel like happens all the time in these movies where, like everything with James Marston, right? Or Marston. Yeah, Marston. I don't want to say John Marston. James Marston, and like from Superman Returns or The Notebook or whatever, where it's like, oh, you're not that bad of a guy, but like, oh, she's not really in love with you. And he might have been a bad guy in The Notebook, I forget. But for sure, Superman Returns.
He wasn't in Superman Returns.
He's totally a nice guy, and it's like, wow, Lois doesn't love you as much as she loves her soulmate.
I think was a doctor, trying to save her a bunch of times, even though he almost died every fucking time he did anything.
So I see this dope who's got a kid with her, and I'm like, oh, sorry, she just doesn't love you like she loved fucking him.
That
sucks.
Yeah,
he plays music. You just drive a nice car.
I mean, my wife put it best. My wife's like, I was like, yeah, it's too bad. Like, you really want them to get together at the end. She's like, well, if this were real life, yeah, I mean, he would just wait until she got divorced and then scoop back up in there.
now she knows
that too.
I was like, Deco, oh man.
She knows LA. She knows LA very, very well.
Fuck, that's so funny. So funny. And
So
before we leave, I want to give a couple more shout outs. Shout out to the scene where they cut to all the Prius keys. Because that was
really funny. It's the Prius.
Yeah, so damn good. And shout out to the entire pool scene where he's in the van with Flock of Seagulls. Oh, fucking funny. Good.
Yeah, and a huge shout out to how that movie was filmed too. I would not be surprised if that got a nod for best cinematography at the Oscars. I mean, I have an article right now in the American Cinematographer I have not read yet. I've been kind of saving it for a rainy day, but I want to read how they did all that stuff because I think they use a lot of techno cranes. And if you notice, the best cinematographer, the cinematographer that I thought really shined in the movie was when you didn't notice what was happening, and all of a sudden there's two people in front. We crane through them through the desk, and then all the way around her, and then all the way back in that, and I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? That was really amazing and very flawless.
Yeah.
So I'm actually fascinated to read how they did that and see what kind of mechanized crane they used for that.
Super cool.
If you didn't know, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 3, sometimes 4 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can get every episode early, along with a bunch of exclusive perks, goodies, and if you give us $1 or more for the month of January, you get exclusive access to Kinda Funny Live 2, a 3-hour video that Tim cut, and it's really awesome. There's a million camera angles, and it probably killed him. If you have no bucks to toss our way, though, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where you get the show broken up topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big MP3 in video. Until next time, no, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Damn right.